Right, let's address something right up front. There have been a few people who've questioned the thought process behind binning off my director of football and bringing in Kante, Vardy and Mahrez on yesterday's episode because they're not very good at their jobs. And they've questioned the realism of it. Now, that's a fair point. We usually do have full-on realism mode engaged on Non-League to Legend. And I think my argument for it is we still have full-on realism mode engaged. A club like Leicester, specifically Leicester, have had one good season in their history. I think it makes sense as the manager of that club that I want to bring as many of the elements of that one good season back into the club for as long as we can, get them all together and hope we can replicate that one season of success. So, yes, we might have a technically better director of football or a technically better head of youth development by having some nobody who's got no connection to the club. But I think the fact that we've got those three vital components of the title-winning season now back involved in the day-to-day running of the team now, I think that will have better long-term dividends. A winning mentality. And you can't overrate a winning mentality. Hello and welcome to Club 5 Part 9 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, we're away against Stoke and then at home against Watford in the Premier League. Since you were last with me, we did go on a really rather long unbeaten run. I know it started with 3 draws, and actually those 3 draws were part of a 6-game run without a win, and the media were getting on my back a little bit, even though we were still solidly in mid-table. But then the following 4, we won 3 of those 4, and the one we didn't win was a draw away at Chelsea, a very respectable draw, where Chelsea, I mean, this game was mad. Chelsea kept going ahead, and Adonis just kept pulling it back. And then they just gave up going ahead because they just knew every time they did, Adonis would score. All 6 goals in that game were scored by the 21st minute. It was nuts. But then it all went a little bit wrong in our last game. We were getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. We were actually up to 5th place in the league, but then we lost at home to relegation-threatened Brighton. And that's where we sit now. 13 games in, we do have a game in hand and we're on 20 points. If we were to win our game in hand, which is this game against Stoke, we could actually move up to 5th place again, only 2 points outside of a Champions League spot. It's weird. You don't need to win loads and loads and loads of games in a row to have a decent position in the Premier League. Obviously, we're a million miles away from the top 2, but this little chasing pack, the European qualification pack, we're very much still a part of that at the moment, and if we can string together another 6-game unbeaten run, or 8-game unbeaten run, for example, we're going to be right in the mix, and that would be a very pleasant place to be. Now, this is going to be the team that we put out there today against Stoke. We are still, in fact, is it? Hold on, I want to see what my assistant manager's recommending. I don't think I've tweaked my mentality, and I'm all about tweaking the mentality. See, yeah, I agree with you, assistant manager. I'm not going away to Stoke with a control mentality. We're going to drop down to counter for this game, but this is the team. These are the 11 that are going out there. We've got Svilar in goal, a back 4 of Leo, Panzo, Oliveira and Danilo, with Onomar, Portanova and Suto in midfield, and then Edwards in behind, a fit again, Gwindal and Miller. We have had, as is the story of our season, a bunch more injuries, which I think is one of the reasons why we struggled against Brighton. Adonis, who had been brilliant, Adonis has now scored 9 goals from 11 starts. He picked up an injury, because he always does. So he missed the Brighton game altogether and is now back on the bench for this one. And Gardner's injured as well. Cesar, I've just given up on. I mean, he's fit and in theory our best striker, but I kind of don't want to rely on him. I don't want to build a team around him, because he's just going to get injured again. So I'm happy for him to just sit on the bench and hopefully someone will buy him off us. David Hall, though, has finally got his first goal for us. He scored in a couple of games ago. I forget when it was. Yeah, against Huddersfield. He scored in that game, which was also the return to goal-scoring form for Jonathan Miller. So hopefully Miller is back. Let's get into this game and hopefully pick up that win that would move us back up into 5th place. Although realistically, as with a lot of these away games that we've had so far, and it's why we're going into them with a counter-attacking mentality. It's not just because my assistant manager told me to. I would choose to do it myself, even if I didn't have an assistant manager. But I'd be happy to go to Stoke in these circumstances and draw. I know they're down in 16th place. We're up in 6th place. But you go away to Stoke, pick up a draw. I think if we draw the majority of our away games and win the majority of our home games, I think that's going to be enough for a Europa League spot. And a Europa League spot would be a massive, massive overachievement this year. No matter if we look like we're potentially pushing towards the Champions League at the moment, Europa League, I'd be absolutely over the moon with. Right, Danilo, what's he going to conjure up for us? Just plays it backwards towards Leo and it ends up back in our own half. We're getting another one of these super long highlights that inevitably leads to a goal, and we just have to guess which team's going to end up with the ball and which end the goal's going to go in, because it's just back and forth, back and forth. I like the fact we've got the ball. Are we going to be the ones who grab the goal? It's Miller. We do grab the goal. I've said it before, I will say it again, these super long highlights that you get where it's back and forth, they always, 100% of the time, end with a goal. It's just a matter of working out which team's going to get the goal, and on this occasion it is us, and after 4 minutes, we're 1-0 up. Miller is now back in goal-scoring form. And that, as it stands now, would put us up to 5th place in the league, just 2 points behind Liverpool in 4th, and that Champions League qualification spot, which we're not going to think about. But Edwards is in, and probably should have done a little bit better. 5 minutes on the clock. We've already had 2 clear-cut chances, and I would argue, and Edwards would probably agree with me, we should be 2-0 up. He should have finished that off. We've got Almeida sat there on the bench, just looking on, thinking, you're getting your one chance today. Is it Marcus? Is that his first name? This is your one chance, and if you mess it up like you just messed it up there, I am more than ready to come back into this team and re-establish myself as our first choice attacking midfielder. Guindal plays Edwards in. That was a nice little move, but again, Edwards, that's his second clear-cut chance, the third for our team. We're still only 1-0 up, and it's because Marcus Edwards has been quite wasteful, although, I don't know, he's getting into those positions, so... He's 26. He hasn't got time to develop. He's either the finished article now, or he's not going to be good enough for us to waste time on. But Guindal is in behind again. There's no one up there with him, and he has quite brilliantly won himself a penalty. He was completely on his own, nowhere to go, and he's just held the ball up and let someone foul him. That's smart striker play, and Miller gets his second goal of the game from the penalty spot. 4 clear-cut chances now before Stoke have even had one, and we are playing really rather well. That was a pretty poor penalty for Miller, but he got away with it a little bit. I was thinking who is Leo Dubois? But that's their right back. Now I understand. Despite our lead, we've struggled to retain possession. 48% possession. I mean, if that's the biggest criticism my assistant manager can come up with, we're only on 48% possession away from home when we're playing counter-attacking. All right, I mean, that's fine. I would argue that's more possession than we've set out to have in this game, because we're playing counter-attack and we don't want to sit there with the ball the whole time. The idea is we give them the ball and then hit them quickly on the break. So we should be on like 30 or 40% possession, not 48. Silly assistant manager. Marcus Edwards is not playing especially well today. You're telling me he's coming off now. 5.9. I mean, there was his opportunity and he's blown it. Almeida comes back in. And we're also going to take off Onomar and bring Storaro on in that midfield. And that will do for now. And we'll see how Almeida. I always forget his name. He had a little bit of a knock. That's why he's fit again now, but he did miss a couple of games. We played Adonis in that position. We played Onomar in that position. No one was really any good at it, so that's why we've given Edwards the opportunity today. And I mean, to be fair, he's played quite well there to put Guindal in. It's our 5th clear-cut chance of the game now. But I think despite getting in some decent positions and showing some sparks of life, Edwards has just been a little bit too wasteful. Too much of a lack of end product for us to seriously pursue him as a regular starter. He's still going to continue to do exactly what he was brought in to do, which is to be an English player who fits into the squad, for having him as a homegrown player who can play anywhere in midfield and attack. So he fills like 3 squad spots without wasting one of our foreign spots. So he's still a really important member of the squad. He's just never going to be a regular starter for the team. And that is a lovely finish from Suto. And I tell you what, we have played today like a Champions League team. We have absolutely torn Stoke apart. It's just been a professional, clinical performance. And that is a lovely finish from Suto. You don't get any better than that. Let's make our final substitution. I want to get David Hall on. Although our strikers are both playing really well. But I want to get David Hall on. Perhaps I should be sensible, and Kostic actually he'll benefit from game time just as much as Hall will. I'm trying to get both Hall and Kostic, and who was the other one? There was one more. He must be injured. I've got a total mental block. Oh, Marco, who's not been on the bench today, so whoops. But I'm trying really hard with him. But those three, I'm trying to get as much game time as possible without exposing them too much, because they're not really good enough yet. But I want to get them game time to allow them to start fulfilling some of their huge potential that they've got. But yeah, I'm really, really following up on that today with Marco not even on the bench. Good work, Kev. Almeida just misses out. Attacking midfielder hasn't been a fun position for us today, but I can't complain too much. So we've just won 3-0 away from home, and we find ourselves in 5th place in the league. I mean, what, a third of the way through the season? That's better than anyone expected, surely. Now we get to go and play Watford. Just the one change for the Watford game then. We have moved Marcus Edwards back out of the team. He's had a couple of opportunities this year. And, I mean, we will give him more opportunity than 2 games, but he's very much here as a squad player. Adonis is fit again. He comes back into the team. He was playing as our complete forward, but Gwindal had a really good game in the last game. I want to give him another opportunity so Adonis can come back in behind Miller and Gwindal. Almeida has to wait a little bit longer for his return to the team, which, to be fair, based on how he's played this season, he's not exactly been the same man he was last year. So I think it's only right that he's sitting out while he works himself into some kind of form. If he keeps coming on and having impacts on games, he'll be back in the team in no time. So, I don't know who he is. Let's get into this game. Watford are down in mid-table, 9th place. A win in this game, because we're playing before everybody else this time, a win could actually put us up into the Champions League spots. We could leapfrog over Liverpool and Tottenham with wins in this game, but obviously they would both be behind us with games in hand. But it would be very pleasant to finish out an episode in 3rd place as we approach the halfway point of the season. I'll do, won't it? Although we are now being seriously overrun in midfield, so I might not work out quite that way. I've just realised we're still on counter-attacking and we're at home. I'm not sure how I feel about this. We'll give it a few minutes. Actually, we won't, because we've had one shot in half an hour. We'll go up to standard. I am a little bit wary of Watford because, in theory, they're a better team than we are, and I don't want to go too gung ho too soon. That being said, I'm not going to be out attacked by the away team at our own place. That doesn't sit well with me. So we'll probably switch to control early in the second half, unless we'd have scored there, in which case we would just leave things well alone, because we don't need to mess around if we're winning a match. But that has been a very uneventful first half. I think we're going to switch to control at half-time and just try and push on and win the match. We're a team in good form, having a good season, with the opportunity to move up to 3rd place in the Premier League. I think it's reasonable for us to try and attack a little bit in the second half of a home game. So forgive me if we now end up losing 6-0 because I'm going a bit too attacking. Counter-attacking has served us very well this season. But Gwindal's in behind here, squares it to Miller, and Miller should have scored. That's the best chance of the game so far. And we've actually had 2 clear-cut chances to their none. So although we've been relatively reserved with our attacking, we're actually creating better chances, and I hope we're not going back to the world where we create a lot of chances and our strikers just don't finish them off. If that's how it's going to be, we could just as easily move Adonis back up alongside Miller, get Gwendal back out of the team again, because as much as Adonis can be frustrating at times, he was scoring goals pretty consistently before he got injured. Right, Onimar across to Suto. He's got loads of space, finds Gwendal. What's he going to do? Danilo's on the overlap. He crosses it in and it doesn't even beat the first man. That's a pretty poor cross from someone who should know better. And now Watford on the counter-attack, trying to do to us what we were trying to do to them in the first half. That's just not sporting. And I'm thinking in terms of what changes we've got on the bench. Miller's not had a very good game. Neither's Gwindal. I might take them both off, actually, and have Adonis and Hall up front. Suto's also not playing well. Should I do a Kev triple? Right, we're going to get Hall on. We're going to get Almeida on. We're going to drop... we're going to push Adonis forward, drop Almeida back into the midfield. And I think we should probably do something about Suto as well. But again, I've not got Marco on the bench because there's no room for him. I don't know who I take off the bench to get Marco on. Edwards, probably. Storaro on for Suto. Doesn't seem like the most attacking change. But if we swap those two around, Onomar can then push forward a little bit. And Storaro can just sit there in midfield. A 70th minute triple. We haven't done one of these for a while. This shows I want to win a football match. Guarantee now we've got an injury coming in about 3 minutes, which will then directly lead to us losing the match, because it always happens when I do these triples. But sometimes you just have to make a statement to the team that you're not that impressed with how they're playing at the moment. And we'd very much like to win this match. We just played really, really well against Stoke. We were just saying we need to draw the away games, win the home games. Not the opposite. The opposite isn't how you get super excited home fans. We need to be winning our home games, especially against Watford. I know I said they're better than us, and I guess they are. Although league table obviously suggests otherwise, but we'd still have a good chance of beating them at home. And there's David Hall with his second goal for the club, and it's an assist by Adonis. I'm taking all the credit for that. That's my substitution, has made that thing happen. And David Hall continuing his development towards becoming a Premier League striker. I knew it. I knew he'd come good. Oh, it's fun having a player that we've brought through multiple clubs back again. And at 1-0, hold on, before we get too carried away, counter-attack him. We'll go straight back to that and just try and hold on to this now. Portanova into Hall, and Hall very nearly got his second of the game. He's getting a taste for this Premier League football lark now. And hopefully we're going to see him start to push on and fulfil some of that potential when it comes to star ratings. Although, as we've learnt multiple times in the past, over the course of both the saves we've got running this year, we can disregard star rating largely. If David Hall's going to keep coming in and keep scoring goals, then I don't care if he's rated as the 4th or 5th best striker at the club. He plays if he's scoring goals. And that's exactly what he's come in and done today. And if we can just hold on, he's won us 3 points. But Watford are attacking with about 5 seconds left. We just need to clear this. Clear it. Clear it. Leo heads it right up in the air, which, I mean, there was an offside. Good. I mean, because it was a very weird header. But we have picked up the win. A boring 1-0 win where we spent more than half the game counter-attacking because we're boring Leicester. But who cares? Because I remember a time when boring Leicester won the Premier League. And right now, boring Leicester are up into 3rd place. I feel justified in sacking my director of football now. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.